Hey Pinstripers, how's it going? Today I've got a little special job for somebody special. One of the customers ordered something as a birthday gift for somebody else, so I need to do some gold leafing today. So I thought I'll take this opportunity to introduce you, very briefly introduce you to gold leafing or gilding, whichever way you want to call it. The process will be the same, well, for gold leafing, silver leafing, copper leafing is all the same, but it just I show you a few basic steps you need to take in order to achieve your first gold leaf surface. So join me for this hopefully not too long video today, and maybe you can learn something new. Alright, so for the gold leafing you need few very simple things. You don't need that much actually. Obviously if you go to more detail and you want to become really professional about it, then it's a completely different story. But I'll be working on a very small project today, I'll show you later. And to lay the stuff with gold, you really need three basic things. One is a brush. I like to use for my gold leafing a quite wide brush. This one is called the mallet, chisel toe. The reason I use this brush is it leaves a nice and smooth surface, you know, for the C's that you apply before you apply gold leaf. Obviously it depends on the size of a job and difficulty level and all the detail and stuff, but for this job I'm going to use this brush today. The another very important thing is have the right C's. I use the one provided by manufactured by One Shot, fast dried gold C's. It's basically a glue you apply before you apply the gold leaf or copper leaf or silver leaf, you name it. I heard different reviews about this. Some people hate it, some people love it. I got it because it was available. I don't do gold leafing enough to go and research, you know, buy all different, you know, types of C's and glues and all that. I do it just enough to implement it in my artwork, and I found this one works for me well. I thought it works okay. I mean, I haven't tried many different ones. I've tried one which is water based and that takes about 24 hours to dry. I don't have that time. I like this one because it dries within, well, it's not dries, it's ready for action within an hour depending on conditions. So I'm using this one. I got this 230 ml 8-ounce can probably a year and a half ago, and it's still more than half full. So this is how little I do gold leafing, but for what I do, it's more than good enough. And the last thing you need obviously is your leaf. I've got over here, it's 23.5 carat gold leaf. Comes in different sizes and different shapes and in different quantities. As you can see, it's very thin. It's so thin, in fact, that probably if I break a piece of it, it will float in midair, just like that. This is how delicate that stuff is. Beautiful. It's not, in the end of the day, it's not that expensive as you think it would be. Again, they come in different shades of gold. You got silver, you got copper, you got variegated gold, you got so many different varieties out there. Once you get into that, it's difficult to explain. You just need to go online or your local art supplies if they provide that stuff. And there's like pages and pages of different leaves in different sizes and different categories and different weights. So there's a ton of opportunities for you out there. Just experiment what works for you well. But this is real 23.5 carat gold. I don't like to use imitation, even though it's much cheaper, but I find it to be much thicker and more difficult to work with. But yeah, again, so that's the things you need: brush, C's, and a gold leaf. Let's do this. Before I start, however, I would just like to mention that I am not by any means a professional and specialist gilder when it comes to gold leafing. I'm not. There are people out there, and probably you can find better videos on YouTube that will explain the art of that gold leafing way better than I can. There are people out there that can gold leaf circles around me, but I use it very little, and what I use it for, I get pretty good results. So I thought I'd share it, with you guys, because you already follow my other tutorials. And gold leafing is a part of pinstriping in a way, but it will give you another edge, another little bit, extra, so you can take your artwork to the next level, to the next step, just a little bit more. And hopefully this little tutorial, as I said, is very, very basics of it. It will help you understand a little bit more about it. Right, so the surface we're going to be working on today is rather unusual. It's a bricklayer's trowel. Basically, it's a birthday gift for a bricklayer, and the customer wanted some golden bricks. So I briefly sketched like 3 bricks over here. That's kind of important to sketch your art before you're gonna lay the seeds, because seeds is usually this stuff, the glue. It's usually see-through. I mean, this got a slight tint to it, but it's difficult to see it when you're working in the direct sunlight or something like that. You can always mix it up with a paint a little bit, with some kind of usually yellow paint or gold paint if you got it. So you can basically see where you're going with your brush over this. But it won't be necessary here because it's a really small surface. I only got a few bricks to lay in the gold leaf on, so that's not the end of the world. But yeah, that's my surface. And as a rule of thumb, especially when you're starting, it's a good idea to paint just a sample on just a piece of scrap metal or scrap whatever medium you're working on. If you're working on plastic, use a plastic as a guide. You will working on metal as I am. I'm going to use a metal piece just as a guide, because when we lay down the seeds, we need to wait approximately an hour. With this one, approximately 60 minutes before we can apply the gold leaf to it. So I'm gonna use this as a kind of a guide, because I don't need to worry about that. So I can apply this and then take this as a reference and see whether my leaf is ready or not, my seeds is ready or not to apply the gold leaf. Right, so the paletting process is exactly the same, or if not easier, than paletting your regular brush with regular one-shot paint. Is the same thing. White spirit works absolutely fine as a thinner for that. You don't really usually need any thinners. This stuff is thin enough as it comes from a package, from a tin, but you can palette that little brush exactly the same and then just dunk it in and just come back to it so you can apply it to your artwork. It's exactly the same process as a regular paint, so nothing different here. You probably find the consistency of that seeds, of the glue you're using, maybe a little bit different than your paint, but that's just the nature of the beast. If you want to use different seeds, you probably find a different consistency on it again. Right, and from that on is smooth sailing so far. Important thing to do right now is not what time it is. At the moment it's 3 o'clock exactly. So I know, as a rule of thumb, I got about 60 minutes from I apply the seeds until I can apply gold leaf. Obviously, that time will vary, depends on what kind of condition you're working in. It depends on the humidity, it depends on the air temperature, it depends whether you got wind or not, whether the room is an air conditioning room. Just general heat and all that things apply, but that's just like everything else. I'm working in just regular conditions over here. I reckon 60 minutes is a good enough time to apply the gold leaf for. But just as a rule of thumb, as I said, I'm going to paint just a few more dabs over here, healthy dabs of my seeds, one here and then one here, and that will give me a rough guide, because I will be able to come back to this one and apply seeds, gold leaf to that. And if it doesn't work, then I know I need to wait a little bit more. Plus I will be able to touch it with my finger and tell whether that's ready for the gold or not. So I leave this on the side, and that's in an hour time, 60 minutes from now on, we're going to come back to it. So now we apply seeds to our artwork, to our piece. So that's what I said before. It's a good idea to apply the artwork beforehand, sketch it with your Stabilo or with your pencil or whatever you're using, and just apply that sees all over that surface you want it to be gilded with gold leaf. And this is what we're going for over here. As you can see, it's very see-through, so you probably can't even see on the camera where the disease is going on, is being applied to. I can see it with my naked eye better probably than you, but as I said, if you work in a larger surface and you got a lot of ground to cover, it's probably a good idea to mix it up a little bit, just a little bit with paint. It will not hurt it, and it will give you a better perception of where you laying down that glue, because the paint will give it a tint a little bit, so you'll be able to see where you've been where you're painting and where you still need to put some paint on. As I said, the paint will not hurt it whatsoever, and if you're using gold leaf, I recommend using yellow paint or gold paint if you got it, metallic gold paint. Simply because just in case you rub through when you engine turning that gold leaf, or you miss it out, you don't see the bare metal underneath or black surface underneath, whatever you got, you will see a yellow paint, which is kind of imitation gold. Obviously we're not aiming to rub through it, but just in case, that's always a good practice. There you go, nearly ready. As I said, that is a very small piece, you know, so it's a very, very small piece. But they wanted the gold bricks, and I deliver gold bricks. So there we go. All done for now. And now we play the game of waiting. We're gonna wait approximately, as I said, 60 minutes. It can be a little bit more, it can be a little bit less. As I said, depends what conditions we're working in. And when this piece comes handy, because within the next 45 minutes I'll be able to touch it with my finger and see whether it's tacky or not. At the moment it's not at all. You can see it's completely wet. You know, it's not leaving any marks on my paint or whatever. So when I come back to within the 45 minutes just to double check it, I should be able to touch it and feel my finger being stuck to it like a little bit of a glue. Not very hard like super glue, but like wet paint kind of friction. So yeah, just play the game of waiting, and I see you guys in about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, just to double check it, and we take it from there. Now that we got plenty time to wait for the glue, for the seeds to go off, to go semi-dry, so I can apply gold leaf to it. It's time to clean our brush. As I said, white spirit absolutely works fine. Basically, the thinner of your choice, whatever you're using, mineral spirits or the thinners recommended by One Shot. There is probably specific thinner for the seas, but I've been using white spirit and I had no problems for years. So why spend money for something else when you can use what you got already and you get perfectly good results? And once the brush is clean, I'm going to preserve it with my engine oil, as you know, and that's it. And I'll leave it to dry. I can close this off as well. We won't be using this brush for this anymore, and I won't be using the seeds anymore because it's already applied on my piece. Now we wait. Alright guys, here we go, about 45 minutes later, and because this piece was sitting, as you can see, it's very sunny over here, was sitting by the window, so we're sitting nearly in the direct sunlight. It got dry much quicker than given 60 minutes. So one way of telling, you can actually touch it, because that's a scrap practice piece. This is our good piece. Yeah, it was sitting in the same conditions. I'm not touching this one now. If you touch it with your finger, and it kind of, you can see it's kind of pulling, I don't know if you can see, well I can feel it. It's actually pulling quite a bit and it leaves the residue on my finger, and it's look, I can actually pick it up by the glue. That was not happening before. That is more or less good condition right now to apply the gold leaf. So let's go ahead and apply it on this practice piece, and then we're gonna apply it in a real deal. There we have our beautiful gold, shining beautifully in the sunlight. So there are a few different ways of applying gold leaf. The professionals, unlike me, using like very fine and thick, probably thick like my hand, a brush, and they brush some kind of surfaces, even their hair or their clothes, to generate static electricity or static, and that will just basically the leaf will be picked up by the static, so they don't touch it, and then just transfer it from the transfer paper onto their surface. But because we are working on a very small surface, I don't need to go fancy like that. I just basically go from the transfer sheet, which is like a very thin piece of paper, from underneath, and I just turn it gently upside down, and I will apply to our piece like this, very gently, and just leave it. Sometimes you can blow on it, and that will basically make it stick to the surface when the glue was applied, and it will not stick to any other thing. Or you can use a very soft brush. I've got a brush here over here. The bristles are very soft. A makeup brush apparently works very well as well, but I don't know because I never used a makeup brush, never apply makeup on myself. I don't know why actually. But lady pinstripers among you, they probably can tell you a bit more about it. So yeah, this is now stuck to our surface, and I would recommend leaving it like this for another few minutes, 10-20 minutes maybe, because once the leaf is applied on it, it will slow down the process of drying because you cut out the oxygen out of it. But I'm pretty confident on the practice piece we can brush it off right now. So very gentle motions. Make sure obviously the piece is completely stuck to the areas. You can kind of tell when the glue was done applied to and when it wasn't. You can tell by the different textures in our gold. So right now I'm just brushing it off very gently, and basically the area when the glue wasn't applied, it will release our gold leaf, and where the glue was brushed, our seed was brushed, the gold leaf will stuck, and that kind of is correct. So that's what we left with. Now from that point there is a process called engine turning that can be applied to a gold leafing like this. Nicely it shines. So the engine turning is a process of creating like a machine turning circles in gold, because the seeds underneath is still wet and it will absorb the material. So ideally you should have a velvet material with you. I don't have velvet, I've got just paper, because I wasn't going for that in my main piece. I won't be doing this engine turning because I like the texture. But if you're going for engine turning, which gives extra level to this gold leafing business, you basically create a little ball like this of velvet. Velvet is the best material, I think, to create these engine turns, and very gently press and turn into your gold. As I said, very gently. It needs to be just, don't even press too hard. If you press too hard, is what will happen. Yeah, you destroy it. That's probably the seed is still too wet for it, and it's not absorbing as well as it should be. But that's the general idea. As you can see, the two bottom ones, one over here, one over there, they're actually quite decent. But then again, it all comes with practice. You know, this is ruined. If you press too hard, you take the seeds with you, the gold with you. But you need to find the right level, and obviously the right right texture underneath, just to create this I'm not pressing hard at all to create that. I'm not sure if you can see this. I'm not pressing hard whatsoever. I'm just gently resting that piece of paper on it. Again, paper is not the right material to do it, but it's just to give you an idea of how to achieve this. You can see, you can probably go a couple more times over it. But then again, you know, this is another level, this is something else. Right, so now we applied gold on our practice piece and we're happy with it. I'm more than confident enough that this is ready to take our gold leaf. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna apply it. Probably need more than one, judging by the size of it. Let's see if I can. Yeah, I probably need more than one. So I apply half of it over here, like so. I like to blow on it just to get it to stick nicely. Yeah, and now we get the second piece. And apply for the remaining part of our artwork, whatever that may be. Yeah, that's one expensive bricklayer's trowel, I can tell you that. Gold plated. Yeah, the only thing is working with gold leaf, when you finish there's gold flying everywhere, gold pieces, so it's good to have some Hoover around you, vacuum cleaner, just to suck all these pieces out. Right, now I'm gonna wait a little bit more for it to dry, or not dry, just to absorb that a little bit more. Yeah, so as mentioned before, you can use probably a cotton bud as well, to just gently tap it off, or a very soft brush like this one, or some makeup brush, or you can probably get a specific brush for gold leafing if that's what you want to do. I don't, as I said, I don't do it often enough to invest in this. For the quality, for the quantity I use it, you know, this is more than good enough. So what I want to do, I'll just make sure it's completely flat and absorbed everywhere I apply that seize to. And while I'm pressing it, I can already see the outline of those 3 bricks I had sketched before, because you can probably see it too. The gold will adhere differently to the surface when it's seized and when there's nothing underneath. So now I can kind of see the outlines of it. I'm going to get rid of the rest of it with that brush, and very gently, just gently touching it, you can reveal the artwork underneath. And that was a very simple shape this time. As I said, it's a very small piece I'm working on, very simple, but hopefully the result will be a little bit more than simple. I'm hoping for that anyway. There we go. Don't know if you can recognize it, but those are 3 bricks that were there before. Now I will leave it to dry for 24 hours probably, and tomorrow we're gonna come back to it, and I'm gonna do sketch outlines on top of the gold with a black one-shot paint, so it looks again like bricks and not just a shape of some sort. Yeah. Once again, normally at this point you will see engine turning happening over here, but I'm not going for that look. I want that texture over here, so you can see that the way you brush it as well creates that kind of texture. So I'm going different directions, and the seas underneath is still wet enough absorb it, but not too wet to destroy it. Yeah, let's leave it for 24 hours. I'm gonna come back to it, do some more details so we can finalize this process. So there we have it. 24 hours later, I've added the outlines, some textures to the gold, so it looks like a pile of bricks again, and not just a random shape. Probably 90% of the time you will find this with gold leaf or any metal leaf work really. Outline will really bring it back to life. Depends what kind of work you're doing, but 9 times out of 10 you will need to at least outline it, and then add some details to it with just a regular paint, just to bring out the shape, because previously, if you remember, it was just a shape, the contour of it to the outline. Now you actually see the 3 golden bricks stacked together. All I need to do now is just add the birthday message, but that's beyond the point, and our little piece is done. Bricks of gold, look at that. There you go, guys. Gold leafing, or metal leafing as such, vaguely explained. By all means, I don't claim to be a master of this art form, far from that, but the results I get are pretty good for what I use it with anyway. But if this little video helps you out to understand it a little bit more, if you are looking get into gold leafing or just implement this into your pinstriping and areas of your art, then I hope this is gonna helps a little bit. And if it does, then it's a job well done, right? Once again, guys, any questions, any comments, drop me a comment below. I'll be more than happy to help you out if I can. That's it for today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a beer, rock hard, and I'll see you next time.